Hey geeks, what's going on? My name is Brandon. Welcome back to Save Station, the gaming portion of the Geek XP. A little while back on the PTR for Overwatch, there were some changes that were pretty sweeping and extreme, and some people were posting their thoughts on them, so I wanted to put in my 2 cents. So I had it all recorded, was going to put it together today and post it, and then bam! Come to find out that Blizzard has already reverted some of these changes, updated some new changes, and all that goodness. So I'm going to quickly sum up my thoughts from the previous changes, which are still on the PTR, and then cover the new stuff. But I'm going to try to make the older news a little bit more brief so we can focus on the new stuff, and I'll elaborate on any of the stuff that I feel like is more impactful on the game. Ana's dead! She's completely unplayable, rip! No, actually, the Ana changes I found were pretty much fine. They rolled back the damage on her biotic rifle from 80 to 60, so now she can't 3-shot 200 health point heroes like Pharah. They also reduced the burst damage on her nade from 60 to 30, and the burst healing on the nade from 100 to 50. Now, I thought that was actually fine with the exception of the heal nade. I'm fine with rolling back her damage if she can still heal. Each of the support characters sort of lie on a spectrum of healing and then something else. And right now, Ana was a little bit of everything. She's got great crowd control. She's got great anti-flanking. She's got good damage, like the most powerful burst healing. And so I'm fine with them pulling back on one of these things. I think that if she is not as powerful in healing, that it allows Mercy to shine more as the most primary. If you just want healing, go Mercy. And in terms of like the body shots that she does with her biotic rifle, she can't headshot with the biotic rifle, but she was dealing 80 damage. And McCree only deals 70 damage with the body shot with the Peacekeeper.
What in tarnation?
That's right, McCree only does 70 damage with his body shot with the Peacekeeper, and it sort of feels out of line if one of your mainline DPS. I mean, he can probably put more shots down range and therefore put out more DPS faster than Ana, but it still felt sort of strange that she has no damage fall off when she's scoped, or I think at all, and it's hit scan when she's scoped. And so it sort of felt unfair for McCree players who are trying to deal with things like Pharah, and Ana can do it better. So I'm fine with these changes. Junkrat is no longer a masochist. The patch notes on the PTR say that Junkrat will no longer be damaged by his own explosives. They specifically point out that he won't be damaged by his Total Mayhem passive, which only really occurs if he dies, gets rezzed, and then gets killed by the bombs his corpse dropped, which I think is fine. I also assume this means for his Riptire, so in those cases where you're in that long audio cue animation for the Riptire and then someone finds you and you blow it up in a panic and kill yourself, that won't happen anymore. I think this will make Junkrat much more powerful in the lower ranks, but he will still probably be mostly unplayed in the higher ranks outside of niche scenarios, just because, you know, his puts out a lot of damage, but it's hard for him to confirm kills unless he's in someone's face. Now he'll be able to do that better because he can be in someone's face and deal damage without taking it. But I could see this causing some crazy meta shifts in the lower ranks where it's harder for people to know how to punish the Junkrat more properly or to heal away the damage he deals. Orisa, magazine size reduced from 200 to 150, and her ultimate charge increased by 15%. Yeah, I mean she's never been live, so I don't know how this will really change things. I'm not really going to spend time talking about it, but interesting. Winston barrier buff, thank the maker. So Winston's barrier cooldown now begins when the barrier is placed rather than when it breaks or times out after 5 seconds. This means that if your barrier stays for its full 5 seconds, you effectively only have an 8-second cooldown. This is great because out of all the tanks, Winston really feels like he has the least survivability and he's the most dependent on healers, especially Ana, who can heal him from far away. And if he's got more bubbles, that means he can more freely cover himself and then cover his team. Right now, when I play Winston, I feel like anytime I use my bubble to protect myself while I'm diving, that means I'm selfishly taking it away from a bubble I could use to protect my allies, and vice versa. Now you'll have that freedom to do both, which I think will be good for him.
No one is safe from the iris.
So Zen's buffs on the previous PTR were that 1, his alternate fire's recovery time was reduced from 1 second to 0.6 seconds, which just means you can put more damage downrange faster with his alternate fire, which is great for bursting down targets or catching someone as they come around the corner. And then his big one, which is potentially, or was potentially, we're going to get into this new stuff, potentially meta-changing, was that he could apply Discord through barriers, which would only be bigger once you have Orisa in a live game, who has another barrier that we're introducing into the mixing pot of these characters. It would provide a bigger opening for characters who can put damage through barriers to really pick down targets. It allows for designating squishy targets that need to be killed really fast for dive teams. It would have been crazy, but we'll get into what has happened now in the updated changes on the PTR. But like, Zen was going to be, I think, a must pick for most teams, just because Discord, I think, is his most powerful tool, and to have that go through barriers is crazy. For Sombra, there was some nice quality of life buffs for her that were coming through that I actually think will help her. She's been coming up a little bit more and more, especially with Orisa on the PTR. With all of these barriers now, Sombra's hacking and her EMP ultimate have a lot more viability with all of these barriers, because she can just shatter them with her ultimate, and she can hack to prevent them from even going down. So hopefully we'll see more of her. But the other buff that she got was that the sound distance for her voiceover line when she comes out of stealth, where she's like, been here all along, where normally you could hear that from across the fucking map, now it's only a 15-meter distance that you can hear that. Pretty close in Overwatch terms. So it's going to be a little bit nicer for Sombra to stealth into behind the enemy lines, well, not right up close to them, de-stealth and then get in behind them. So that's good for her. But then her translocator cooldown time has been reduced to 4 seconds from 6 seconds. This will allow her a lot more freedom to not only get into advantageous positions, but it's her real only disengagement tool. Tracer has not only the recall, but also blink. Genji has not only his dash, but also his deflect to help him get out of sticky situations. Pharah has not only her boost jets, but also her concussive rocket, which she can use to cover distances much more quickly. All of these characters have different options for getting themselves out of scrapes, and Sombra can't really stealth out of a fight because it's super easy to just sort of predict where she's going to be, hit her, and she comes out of stealth. She really needs the translocator to get out, and to only save it for those sort of defensive sort of situations, I feel hampers her ability as a DPS. So this will be good for her. We'll see how it works. I don't think it'll be a huge deal, but then another big thing that they were talking about putting in for her was that when she hacks health packs, she and her team can see those health packs through walls. And we'll get into this in a little bit, but those are the things that were the big things on the PTR that were coming through. People were talking a lot about Ana being nerfed into the ground, but then they've made some changes just recently, so we'll jump into those next. The theorized Sombra buff that Jeff Goodman, I believe it was talking about potentially bringing into the PTR, where a hacked health pack is visible to her and her allies through walls, is on the PTR now. And so this is going to be great, because with Sombra, a big part of her kit is that she doesn't deal as much damage as Tracer, perhaps, but you get the benefit of the hack, preventing people from being able to use skills. You know, you can force Bastion out of turret mode, but the support that she provides is that she sort of leaks between assault and support, and that, you know, having those health packs be more readily available is awesome. The issue is that it's very dependent on communication. The Sombra needs to tell people where she's hacked the health packs, and they need to remember that. And that can work all well and good, but what if you have a teammate who's not even in voice chat? They're not even going to know. And even if a Sombra has told you that a lot of things are happening in a match, you may not be able to take advantage of it fully. But now that it's a visual cue in game that you can see where the hacked health pack is, it will help both Sombra feel more effective, and it will make her teammates feel that she's contributing more. Because it's sort of hard when you have a Sombra, you sort of know that you're lacking a bit. Like, one of your DPS slots is just not going to be putting out as much damage. But now you're also going to get a little bit of extra support. So I think that's going to be really, really nice and really help her support sub-role really shine through where she's lacking in the raw damage of like a Tracer or Genji. Zen got changed a little bit on the most recent PTR. They've reverted his Discord through barriers thing, and I think that would have been really cool to bring Zen into a very dominant position again in the meta. However, I think it would have been frustrating, because then we would have gone to Ana insta-locked every time to Zen insta-locked every time. So he's not going to be able to apply his Discord through barriers. That's no longer going to be a thing. I think that would have been really cool. It would have been great for me, since I like playing Winston, having a Zen who can Discord previously, so I know exactly who I'm diving. But what they've changed instead now on the PTR is that his primary and alternate fires no longer have any spread on their shots. Now, you can only really notice it on his alternate fire, but there is a little bit of RNG in terms of the placement of his orbs. Now it's direct shot. It is a perfect line from where you shoot to where that orb is going to go. And since his primary thing outside of his healing is also the damage Zen can put down range, this will be great to just have a little bit more reliable like headshot damage out of Zen, so that he can really get those nice little pinks when he needs to. So this will be good for him. It's not going to be as game changing as the previous change, but I think it'll be a nice quality of life thing, so that, you know, that's what you choose when you go Zen over someone like Lucio, is that you choose damage over the speed. And to be able to have that damage be more reliable, I think will be good for him.
And it was like hundreds of Ana maids suddenly cried out in terror, and then were suddenly silenced.
Next, we'll go over the changes made back again on Ana. And it sort of, I guess to me, the way I read it, illuminates how they want Ana to interact in the healer meta. And I think it's actually kind of interesting, because it was sort of contradictory to my initial thoughts. So Ana's nerfs have been partially reverted. The damage on her rifle has been kept lower, but the burst from her heal nade, or anti-nade, has been kept. I thought that the heal nade nerf was a little too steep. Maybe 75 might be a better burst heal for the heal nade, because at the end of the day, the real utility with that is that you're not looking to get kills with it. You're not looking, you know, the burst healing is nice, but what you're really looking for is to increase healing on people for a short amount of time so that your heals do more. But even what I think is even more important is to deny healing to enemy teammates. If someone's getting pocketed by a Mercy, you can prevent that. If a Roadhog is really big trouble, he's about to get away, you can prevent that. Being able to deny healing, you know, you can shut down a Zen ult entirely with your E. Oh yeah, it's your shift. Whatever. You can shut it down with a normal ability. And so I think as long as that part's intact, the heal nade will be fine. I think that with keeping the burst at 100, we're still going to see Ana almost insta-locked every game in the higher ranks, and not Mercy. I think Mercy's coming back because of her recent buff with the res, but I think it's interesting because my understanding was that they wanted Mercy to remain within that spectrum of the healers, that if you just want pure healing output, you would go Mercy. Because Lucio's healing is down and you really want him for speed boost. Zen's healing is not great, you mostly want him for Discord. And then our only other healer is... yeah, it's Ana. So, I don't know why. Our only other healer is Ana, and she also provides a lot of other things. She provides crowd control, anti-flank. Her sleep dart is amazing. Her ultimate is still super powerful, and her healing can be done from really long range. You know, in terms of dive comms, Mercy doesn't want to be in that scrummy fight with Winston and Genji. She wants to be hanging back so that she's not in danger, so she can get her res off. Ana can hang back and heal from afar. Her nade becomes a little less dependable when you're working from that long distance, but it's also her only self-sustain. So I'm glad that they're bringing it back a little bit. I think 75 would probably be a little bit better so that her burst healing doesn't completely outweigh Mercy's healing. But overall, I think this is fine. I think the 60 to 30 damage for the heal nade is relatively minor, because the real impact you're getting from it is the denial of healing or the boosting of healing. So I think she'll still be fine. I'm fine with this. I just worry that Mercy will still be lower picked in the higher ranks. But honestly, that's sort of the design that Blizzard is going with this game, is that some characters will be more viable in the lower ranks than others who will be extremely viable, where you have high skill characters like Ana who are really powerful in the high ranks. So I really guess I don't mind that at all. Let me know what you guys think about these changes, both the old and new, for Overwatch on the PTR. Comment your thoughts down below, which ones you're most excited about. Are any of these characters your mains? Are you excited or nervous about these changes going forward? I know as a Winston player, I'm really excited for this barrier buff. I've been waiting for something like this for a long time, so I'm really excited for that. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to like this video down below and subscribe for more future content. You guys have been Ward Some Geek XP, and until next time, stay geeky, my friends, and I'll see you at your next save.